Hey, what's going on? This is going to be a quick part 2 video on how to reduce no-shows, cancellations in your detailing business. Now, why this matters. When you book a customer and you book them in on the calendar, you've sold them on booking a job with you and putting a date in the calendar. And maybe you've collected a little bit of cash up front in terms of a deposit, but that's only half the battle, because in between today and their actual appointment date in the calendar, you have to sell them on showing up. So first you sell them on booking, but that's all they've been sold on. Now you have to sell them on why it's actually important to show up to that booking as well. Because you want to consider from the customer's perspective. They see an ad online from a company that they've never heard of before. If you're running ads for ceramic coating, they speak with a stranger on the phone for a few minutes and they book a coating date/time, and they don't really know what to expect the day of. They don't know how the process is going to go exactly. They don't know what the place/shop looks like. Or if you're a mobile guide, they don't know what your setup looks like. They don't really know much about your business, like what's the reviews, how reputable this business is, and they have some idea of what a coating is, but they're still not 100% certain, right? It's, maybe they saw an ad, they spoke to you on the phone for 5-10 minutes, you kind of explain briefly what it was, but it's not the level and depth of understanding that someone would get from, let's say, researching 10 hours of ceramic coating videos, right? And then on top of that, on the phone, they were super excited. Hey, yeah, this is going to be great. I'm looking forward to restoring my car to that show and shine. And then as time goes on, maybe the next day, time passes, they start getting buyer's remorse, they start changing their mind. Is this really that important? Maybe a car is not that bad, it still looks okay the way it is. Is this really necessary for me to show up to this appointment, etc. and etc. So yes, you sold them on booking in the appointment, but even leading up to that appointment, you have to keep reaffirming the decision that, hey, this is important. You made the right decision. Here's exactly what's going to happen on this date and time. So a few best practices that you want to maximize first is going to be booking the actual coding date, or whatever the job date is, as close to today's date as possible. Just to give an extreme example, let's say today is Wednesday, you book them in for tomorrow on Thursday. There's going to be a way higher chance that they show up for a job on Thursday tomorrow than if you book them in for 2 months later in advance, right? If you book them 2 months out, there's a way higher chance that they're going to cancel, they're going to no-show, they're going to change their mind. So always aim to book them in for as close to today's date as possible. The other thing too is you want to confirm with them the day before, the morning of. So this can be a confirmation text or ideally a confirmation call. So just shoot them a call the day before. Hey, what's going on? It's John here from XYZ Detailing. Just really looking forward to our appointment tomorrow at XYZ time. Wanted to make sure we're still good for this. Okay, cool. And just to recap, based on our discussion, you mentioned that you were interested in XYZ and XYZ benefit for your car. Is that right? So restoring to the show and shine and also getting easy maintenance. Okay, awesome. Looking forward to helping you with that tomorrow. Can't wait to see you tomorrow and serve you in your vehicle. The other thing too is have some reminders leading up to the appointment. So best practices would be like, if you have a 72-hour reminder, a 24 hours before reminder, a 12 hours before reminder, etc. So reminding them of the appointment. And then maybe like 3 hours before reminder as well. You can kind of tweak and test depending on, your business, like how far out you're booking these customers and also what's the feedback. You don't want to be blasting people with reminders, every single hour, but having some sort of reminder sequence in place leading up to the appointment will help out with no-shows, cancellations as well. The other thing too that you want to do is you want to tie down the booking date/time before you manually book in the calendar. So yes, you get them to agree to a date, you get them to agree to a time, but they might just be agreeing to that date and time because in the moment it seems convenient, but then once that date and time actually approaches, maybe something's going to come up with work, maybe that's around the same time that their kids get off from school, maybe that's around the same time that they have something else going on. So it, 50% chance works for them, but it's not 100% guaranteed, right? They might have something else come up. So I would tie down with them, and just to make sure, we do have to set aside, a whole day in the schedule. We have to go and purchase a bunch of equipment and materials. Like, I just want to make sure this date and time, like, it 100% works for you, right? Like, you're going to be good with this, aside from, like, let's say, like, maybe an earthquake or a tornado. Like, there's nothing that's might cause you to have a conflict with this time, and really just get them to 100% confirm that this date and time works for them. Otherwise, they might just be saying something that off the top of their head seems convenient, but it's not actually 100% set in stone. And then lastly, get a deposit. Obviously, if you can get some sort of financial commitment ahead of time for the appointment, they're going to be way more likely to show up, right? If they have no deposit versus a $100 deposit. Now, what if you're already doing all of the above, so all these best practices, and you're still dealing with some last minute cancellations or some last minute no-shows? Because at the end of the day, it does really hurt the business, right? Because it's not only lost revenue, but it's also the opportunity cost of that spot in the calendar that could have been filled by someone else. So if you're doing all these best practices and you're still dealing with this issue, here's some other tweaks that you can try out that may be able to help and bump up that show rate just a little bit more. So the first is going to be positive identity labeling. So to kind of explain this as succinctly as I can, basically the idea here is you're telling them that there's this type of person that is a bad type of person, and hey, I know you're not like that, right? So what you're doing is you're labeling them as a type of person that is punctual, is accountable, is going to show up on time, so that way they kind of associate themselves with that positive identity, and it makes them way more likely to actually show up for the appointment, because they'll be thinking to themselves, oh yeah, of course I'm not that type of person that would no show. Of course I'm not the type of person that would cancel last minute. So I'll give you an example of this in terms of like the actual syntax you can use on the call. So at the end of the call, I'll be like, great, and I'm really looking forward to serving you on this date, and I just want to make sure you're 100% good for this date, right? Because I'll be honest, sometimes we do have some people cancel last minute, or they kind of just let us know like literally the morning of, and it does really hurt the business, right? We have to go out, we have to purchase a bunch of equipment, chemicals, materials, etc. But what I can tell, you're not that kind of person, right? You seem to me, like just based on our conversation, it seems like you're the type of person that's really accountable, that always like sticks to their appointments, etc. So I know you'll be good for this date, and I'll just shoot you like a confirmation text or call the day before, just to make sure that you're still good. Does that sound good? So I do something like that, just to label them as, hey, there's this XYZ bad type of person, but I can tell based on our conversation that it sounds like you're the type of person that is typically true to their word, they're accountable, they're usually good for the day. When they say they're going to show up, they're going to show up, and I know you're going to be good for it, something like that, right? So just label them as that positive identity, as the type of person that's actually going to show up to their appointment, so that way they feel more strongly associated with that kind of behavior, and they're less likely to cancel, right? The other thing too you want to do is reaffirm their decision. So this is a term known as buyer's remorse. Basically, someone buys something and then immediately regrets the purchase. So yes, they haven't technically bought something with you just yet, but they did, agree to purchase something in the future date, which is booking this job in with you, and then once the job is completed, paying you, right? So let's say they're really excited on the phone. They say, hey, yeah, I want to book in this date. But then once you get off the phone, they start questioning, well, I got to drive all this way, and then I got to drop off my car, and I got to find a replacement vehicle in the meantime, and then I got to pay all this money. Is it something that I really, really need, or is it something that I can maybe live without, right? So you don't want them changing their mind once you get off the phone with them. So what you want to do is once you get off the phone, you want to really reaffirm that they made the right decision. So what this can look like is you can shoot them a confirmation text, hey, it was a pleasure speaking with you. Looking forward to restoring your, XYZ make a model to that showroom shine you mentioned you wanted. We'll do our best to make your neighbors jealous, right? So really letting them know like, hey, this is me, this is my business. I care about you. I care about your car. Really looking forward to, restore your car and get you that dream outcome you wanted. And another thing I would do as well is I would shoot them over like the Google reviews of the business. You can shoot them some videos or images of before and afters. And if you have happy customer testimonials, so for instance, let's say you finish a job on someone else's car, you film a video of them standing next to their car, they're talking about how much they love the ceramic coating, what a good job you did, send them a video like that. Them watching those customer testimonials, it's going to reaffirm like, hey, okay, this is the real deal. Look at all these happy people that, love the service that this guy did. Maybe I should, definitely, keep my appointment and stick with these guys, right? And what I would do as well is just to make it like a little bit more tasteful, I wouldn't necessarily blast them like 100 images, reviews, videos, etc. What I would do is at the end of the phone call, I would say, right before I hop off, I would say something like, and by the way, is it cool with you if I kind of send over some more info on our business, like our reviews and some of our work, that way you can check it out ahead of time? And they say yes, you get their permission, and then once you get off the phone, you feel free to send as many of these reviews and testimonials as you like. The next thing too would be some sort of like pre-appointment nurture. So for instance, in between now and their appointment, they might not know exactly what ceramic coating is. So there'll be one type of prospect who, goes out off on their own to do some research. Maybe they check it out on YouTube, they check out some other websites, etc. And there's going to be another type of prospect where they're too lazy or they're too busy and they don't bother researching it at all. So what you want to do is for that first person that does do research, you want them to be watching your videos, not someone else's videos, right? And the second type of person that's too lazy to do the research, you want to make it easy for them. So instead of them having to go out of their way, type up some search terms on YouTube and figure out the best video, you want to just directly text them a video of you explaining the ceramic coating, explaining how it works. That way it's extremely frictionless and really easy for them to just pull up the video that you've already sent them and just watch it. So you can send them some educational content that you filmed on the coating process, how it works, what to expect. Ideally, you like standing in front of a car, talking about some of the different products, talking about some of the cars that you've already done, showing the process as it's being done live, etc. That way you can kind of help them to know what to expect leading up to their appointment. Another thing that I would do is have some more like actual like human touches, like human engagement leading up to the appointment day. So yes, if you're setting some sort of reminders, automated reminders, etc., that is helpful. But it's also helpful if you have some sort of like human connection with them leading up to their booking. So just as an example with dating, let's say you set up a date with a girl to go out. You wouldn't just set up a date with her and then not text her for the entire week leading up to the date, and then the day of shoot her a text, hey, are we still good for this date? Yes, she might still show up, but there's also a chance that she might make some other plans, right, with her friends. She might get cold feet. She might change her mind, whatever it is. So that's like the example of not texting her up to the date versus the other extreme would be, texting her every day. You're sending her funny memes. You guys are talking back and forth, and you're literally talking texting back and forth every single minute leading up to the date. And then, it's almost without question that she's going to have a much higher chance of actually sticking to that date and not ghosting you, right? So it's the same thing. If you book someone out for, let's say, 1 month out, and between now and that 1 month appointment, you don't send them any text, there's no communication, and the only communication they get with you is literally 1 day before, hey, I saw we have an appointment coming tomorrow, are you still good for this date? There's probably a good chance that they're going to cancel or no-show. So what you want to do is in between today and that appointment 1 month from now, you want to figure out how you can manufacture some touch points, some conversation in between now and then to kind of nurture and build up that human connection so they feel that there's some rapport going on. So what I do is I might just find some excuse to talk to them and stay in touch. So it would be something like, hey, I just did this car yesterday, filmed this awesome before and after that I posted on Instagram. I thought I'd shoot it over to you just in case you want to check it out. This is exactly like something that we would do for your car as well. And then I would say something like, if you have like a professional videographer or like video editor, would you want us to film something cool like this for your car too? Like we'll do it free of charge, something like that. And of course, you want to do this tastefully. You don't want to be blowing up their phone every single day, 24/7. Texting them every 5 minutes, but maybe like every other day, like maybe once every 3 days, depending on how close the appointment is. Or if the appointment is 1 month out, maybe, 2 to 3 touch points in between that month, during that month in between their booking, right? So that way there is some human engagement leading up to the actual appointment date instead of just a few automated reminders and then a confirmation call the day before. The next thing would be like some sort of reciprocity. So law of reciprocity, if someone does something for you, you're going to feel really guilty if you don't repay that favor and do something in return. So as an example, hey, hope you're having a great day. Just purchased this new bottle of ceramic, head for an appointment tomorrow. Looking forward to serving you in your car. So if you're telling them that, hey, I went out, I spent this money to get ready for our date ahead of time. So they're going to feel way more guilty if they cancel on you last minute because you already dropped all this money, all this time, went out of your way to purchase this product to get ready for their coating, right? And this is something that a lot of people are already doing, but you just need to make it known, right? You need to tell them that you're doing this. Hey, I went out on my way today, stop by the shop on my way home from work, went on my way to purchase this new bottle of ceramic, really looking forward to our appointment the next day, right? The other thing you can do too is also make sure to have some refreshments available when you arrive at our shop. Do you prefer coffee, tea, or something else? So you're going out of your way again to make their stay more comfortable, to get them some refreshments. And again, it's just going to feel like they're going to feel way more guilty if they cancel on you last minute. So yes, it is somewhat manipulative. You could argue that it's guilt tripping them to avoid canceling their appointment. But at the end of the day, it's just the law of human nature, the law of reciprocity. And we're just here to serve them in their car as best we can. We know that we can help them out. And this appointment is something that's ultimately good for them. So we don't want them to cancel. And the last thing that I would do is I would also reformat, like I would think about the actual formatting of your report reminders and your confirmation text, right? So for instance, a lot of detailers, they might send a confirmation text like this, if this is like an automated system that you have. So your appointment has been confirmed, date, time, etc. We look forward to meeting you. And it's not bad, but it's pretty basic. So a better example would be something like this. So for instance, you can shoot them a picture, so a clear Google Maps screenshot of the location, and also having the Google reviews Google business reviews visible. So for instance, if you have 4.9 out of 5 stars in Google with 131 reviews, you're going to want that visible here. And then also have a clear when, where, address, and or parking info. And you can also shoot them a picture of the shop from the outside. That way they kind of know what it looks like ahead of time as well. And then another example would be like the reminder text. So for instance, reminder text, very basic, date, time, that's pretty much it. It's kind of just it's very robotic and it's lacking that human element. So a better example of a reminder text would be if you were sending let's say you included a selfie of you and maybe your employees, you're on the selfie, you're smiling, you're waving at the camera, standing outside your shop. It'd be something like, hey John, Jason here. Can't wait to meet you this upcoming Thursday at 10 a.m. for your ceramic coating with us. Thought I'd shoot you this quick selfie just so you kind of know how the shop looks outside. And then obviously feel free to give me a call or text if you need any help with directions when you get here in the morning. So this has a much more human element than something like this where it looks like it came from a robot or a machine. So again, just to recap, I would try out these best practices first, but once you've maximized these and you're still seeing that, hey, you're getting some cancellations, some no-shows, then I would test out these other tweaks as well to really improve the show rate and the cancellation rate and ultimately make more money in your detailing business. So hope you guys found this video helpful and let me know if you have any questions.